Hi, I'm Britt Dewey, and this is my EDL 850 Module 1 Personal Info and 3 Levels of Government Control of Public Education. I'm from Silver Lake, Kansas. I went on to attend Washburn University, where I graduated in history with an emphasis in education. I spent my first 3 years in education at Santa Fe Trail Middle School, which is in Carbondale, Kansas. Here I coach football, basketball, and track and field. I actually taught SPED my first semester at Santa Fe Trail, and that was in the 5th grade level. I really enjoyed it working with those students, and I think it's very beneficial for teachers to work directly with SPED students to see what the SPED teachers go through, and I think that really helps me today in my 7th grade social studies classroom. I currently have 4 classes left in the Fort Hays State grad school program. I just recently accepted a new job at Shawnee Heights Middle School for the 2021 school year. I'll be teaching 7th grade social studies here, so the same classes I already taught at Santa Fe Trail, geography, and then Kansas history in the spring. And I'll also be coaching high school football and track. Wedding and travel plans. So I was supposed to get married in June, but because of the coronavirus crisis, we had to postpone the wedding. And we also had to postpone our honeymoon, so we got our honeymoon rescheduled for next summer, and then we're currently looking at possibilities for a new wedding. So I know everybody's going through some crazy stuff, so that's just an example of our crazy summer. I'm passionate about sports and traveling. Here's a picture of my fiance when we went to Iceland 2 years ago, and we just went to Australia last summer, so we're trying to go to as many countries as we can. So yeah, that's about me. Alright, now moving on to the 3 levels of government control of public education. So what kind of supports do public schools receive? There's 3 types of support: local, state, and federal supports. So first one, we're looking at local. School districts are created to decide how their schools will operate. So locally, the school districts will decide, but more specifically, the members of the community elect a board of education, and these members help draft policies for the district. The local school boards are responsible for establishing curriculum, hiring personnel, and deciding if and when schools are to be closed or consolidated or anything like that dealing with the school. Moving on to the state. State government oversees public schools and holds these schools accountable. The state departments create standards and benchmarks for their subjects that are taught in the schools. And generally, states provide just less than half of a school's budget. So the local school board will look at the state's guidelines, draft curriculum, and then the teachers will teach to that curriculum. So the state and local supports really are the 2 that are most frequently involved in our day-to-day in schools. And then states obtain this money from sales and income tax, and may also draw money from state-run lotteries to supplement funds. I know that's very popular in Missouri. And lastly, the federal support. Federal support is limited in public schools due to the 10th Amendment. Most policy is decided, as I said earlier, in the state and local governments. The Department of Education contributes roughly 8% of funds to elementary and secondary schools. However, this funding is directed towards a specific target, and that helps give taxpayers the most bang for their buck. So they're going to have a specific area where the money is to be used, and only to be used in that, whatever their standard is set at. Federal supports will also enforce laws and regulations which protect workers from discrimination. And if states fail to provide equal protection, the U.S. government may step in, as they did in the 1960s during the Civil Rights Movement in the South specifically. But who is in charge of these various levels regarding education? Locally, the Board of Education for the school district is going to be in charge of the local schools. State, the Department of Education, so I'm in Kansas, so the KSDE will set the standards, and then the local school boards will draft their curriculum around those standards. And then federally, the U.S. Department of Education is in charge. Which of the 3 levels of government have the most influence over these NS number 6 components? Looking at component 1.6, which says evaluate, develop, implement management, communication, technology, school level governance, and operation systems that support each student's learning needs and promote the mission and vision of the school. This will be locally, specifically the school board. They'll make sure that the individual needs of their students are being met to the best of their ability. Component 6.2 says evaluate, develop, and advocate for data-informed and equitable resourcing plan that supports school improvement and student development. Again, this will be local with the school board. Lastly, component 6.3 says reflectively evaluate, communicate about, and implement laws, rights, policies, and regulations to promote student and adult success and well-being. This will be involved with the state and federal supports. They're the ones who decide on policy and protect their students. So the federal will make sure everybody's being treated equitably or fairly, and then the state will design curriculum to help meet state needs. How does all of this support the educational success and well-being of each student and adult? Students are protected by the federal laws and policies that target discrimination, high needs, and poverty. State departments of education develop curriculum and standards that the local school districts follow. They use these standards to target which districts may need additional supports. And then locally, school districts develop policies that target the unique needs of their district. They will use the guidelines set by the State Department of Education to develop their specific curriculum that best fits the needs of their individual students. And then here are my references. I'm looking forward to continue to learn about school law and working with all of you guys. Thank you.